Good morning, everybody. The shiur is going to be, of course, לעילוי נשמה של all those who were murdered, של כל הנרצחים, and to the safe return of all those kidnapped, and to the full recovery of all the wounded, and Bezrat Hashem, to the big success of our soldier, and also coming back home safely, Bezrat Hashem, mimera biyameinu. Quickly. Terrible times, not easy times, and we are in parashat Lech lecha. And you know, we always say that there is nothing is by accident. And when we talk about parashat Shavua, we're really talking about what's happening now. And Abraham Avinu is being told, "Vayomer Hashem el Avram, Lech lecha ma'artzecha u'moldatecha and bet avich el ha'aretz asher arecha." So the first question everybody is asking, what is Lech lecha? Why do you say Lech lecha? Lech lecha is go on your way. Go is enough. Go to, and lecha they say letovatcha, for your own benefit. But it's quite enough to say, "Vayomer Hashem el Avraham, Lech ma'artzecha u'moldatecha bet avicha." What is Lech lecha? What is the lecha mean? Go for you, lecha. And the explanation is for your own benefit. And here's a very interesting question. I want to ask you something. Do you know who in the Bible is also given the same words, Lech lecha? Do you know? I asked the question a few times. Nobody could give me an answer because it's unbelievable who this was. Bilam HaRasha. Bilam HaRasha was also being told by the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Im likro lecha ba'u anashim, if they came for you to call you, lech imam. So I say, lech, and you have lecha. In other words, God is warning him, check, you have powers if this is for your own benefit. If it's for, and of course, the only benefit that Bilam HaRasha know is benefit that is for himself, for his egoistic desire. And in this case, his desire is the money the prophet is going to get, and the hatred is got against Am Israel, which is unbelievable. Because if he would have thought a little more, he had powers, he would have understood that this is not going to be for him, for his good. Lehavdil elef alfei avdalot. The Hamas also, they thought that they're doing something for their own good. No. For their own egoistic good. And what was controlling them is this hatred. And we saw those terrible things that they did. Not understanding what's the meaning of Lech lecha, and thinking in their corrupted, distorted mind that they have the right to do this. And like all those demonstrations around the world, for the Palestinians. Not a word about, a few words, of course we have the good side, I'm not saying, but to hear people, after what happened, talking for the Hamas, for the Palestinians, looking about what we are doing to them. Bilam HaRasha also says, Tamot nafshi mot yesharim tiyeh chachamit kamo. He knew what is the truth, but it was so distorted. He knew there is a next world, and he wants, from one side, to kill the Jews, Am Israel, and from the other side, he wants to enjoy from Olam Haba. He wants to die like they are dying. In other words, understanding that there is a next world. He knew what it's all about. Lahavdil, I'm just giving us as a sample. There is nothing to compare between Bilam HaRasha and what's happening here. But the idea of what it is, letovatcha, what is for your own favor. Avraham is being called lech lecha, letovatcha, for your own benefit. So this lech lecha, which is the first one of his 10 trials that he's got, 10 tests that he's got, we can understand. And it's, if we think about it, not such a terrible thing. Yes, it's hard to leave your place and go to a new place, but he's promising him, ואצחד לגוי גדול, ואברכך, והגדלה שמך, ויהיה ברכה, ואברהם מברכך, ונברכו בך. You're going to be blessed, you're going to have everything in this world. So, it's not such a terrible thing to leave the place. And it's, yes, it's going to be for your own benefit. But how do you understand? When in the last test, it's also, Akedat Yitzchak is going to slaughter his son, to kill his son, to sacrifice his son to God. And he's also being told, Lech lecha. And Chazal tell us, Lech lecha rishon ke lech lecha acharon. The first Lech lecha is like the last Lech lecha. How can we compare the test of Akedat Yitzchak to the first test that is going to go for his own benefit? But the difference is to understand that whatever you do, whatever God tells you to do is for your own benefit. And that's the question. What is your own benefit? So we believe that this world is just a temporary world. The real world is the next world. And this is why we have to understand what is our mission. Where do we go? Why do we go? What is our intention? What is the goal? And letovatcha means not for my own egoistic benefit, but for the whole thing, for the klal, for all Am Yisrael. And for Abraham Avinu, whatever God tells him, it doesn't matter if it is go and be a millionaire and be blessed with all the good of this world, or go and take and sacrifice your son. For Abraham Avinu, makes no difference. God told me to do it, I'm doing it, and I know that it is for my own benefit. I cannot understand it. We see after Akedat Yitzchak what happened, the whole thing was going around, but again, this is looking inside the Torah, understand what the Torah tries to tell us. So the Torah tries to tell us whatever God does, eventually is for the good of us. Even if it sometimes looks terrible. Here, listen for me. He says, Vayomer. Vayomer is always something nice. And he's telling us, you're going to be a great guy, you're going to be blessed. And what is written in Abraham, Vayelech Abraham כאשר לא אמר אליו השם, אלא כאשר דיבר עליו השם. דיבר ואמר, the translation might be the same. But in Hebrew, there is a big difference between לאמור ולדבר. Le'emor, as we say, to say this way is like for good, you're going to be elevated, whatever. It's only good. But diber is hard. It's like din. It's you are going to do this and you don't care about any benefit. It's just doing it, even if there is no benefit that you see, because God told you to do it. Not because you want to do it, not because it's for your own benefit, but because you doing whatever God tells you to do. So we see that God is telling him, Vayomer, you're going to be blessed and everything, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't care about this. He only cares what God tells him, orders him to do. In other words, Vaydaber is like to order. To Vayomer is like nice, go on your way. You go. And this is the way of Avraham Avinu. It doesn't matter what God asks him to do. It doesn't matter what happens around him. He goes through all those tests, understanding the big picture. And this is what we have to put in our mind also. To understand the big picture. And the big picture is that all those who were murdered brutally and raped, and I don't want to talk about it. They are all now, you have to understand, up there with God in the best place that can be. This is our belief. So this is our comfort. It's like when we come to Beis Avelim, to a shiva, and we tell them, Hamakom yenachem otchem. What is the Hamakom? Hamakom is the place. Hamakom yenachem otchem. One explanation is Hamakom is God, and the other beautiful explanation is that the Makom is where the Neshama is now, and the Neshama is now with the Makom. It goes together now. The Makom, which is God, the place, is the Kodesh Baruch Hu, because as we understand, we say the Kodesh Baruch Hu is not inside here. This word is inside Him. You have to understand, like, Hu Mekomo Shel Olam, V'lo HaOlam Mekomo. So we can say God is, where is God? Says in heaven, or God is all over here on the earth. Melo kol haaretz kvodo. But both answers are not correct, are not exactly correct. Why? Because what do you think? God is sitting on a cloud over there, up there in the sky, or on a star and looking, watching us? No, definitely not. We know it's not. Or you think God is a part of the air around us? No. It's like love. Can you say, where is the love? Can you find a physical place for the love? Of course not. Those are spiritual things. Those are abstract things. And of course, God is more than ever. It's like somebody's got a big imagination and he imagines himself a beautiful town with all the things. So the town is in his head. He is not in the town. The minute he will stop thinking about this town, it doesn't exist. And this is exactly what's happening here. That's why I believe that whatever is happening all the time is all from God. He renews all the things He created every day, every minute. And if He will stop, everything stopped. But the whole idea again is, it's all for us to get to the purpose, to the reason that we are here in this world. For this combination of the neshama, the soul that comes from up there from heaven, with the body that comes here from earth. The combination is to get to the mission. The mission is to get to the target, and the target is Olam Haba. So we have tests here. It's not easy. Some of the tests, there are two kinds of tests. There are tests, daily tests. Every day you have to wake up to pray, to give tzedakah, milut chasadim, Shabbos. Those are things that you do all every day. Your behavior, the mitzvahs that you have to do every day. And there are sometimes tests, unique tests, that are for this exact time, and that's it. Like something that happens right now and you have to go through this test. Okay, that's Yitzchak. It's something he had to do. After he did it, finished. One time. This test we're going now is also a test. And it's got, I think, all the things in it. All kinds of tests. From one point, it's a one-time test. What happened here is something that never ever happened here in the state of Israel. It's reminding us the Holocaust, and maybe even some things are even worse than the Holocaust. Who knows? But this test is also a test, a daily test. We are now already a few weeks in this war, and we hear every day terrible things from one side and unbelievable good, heroic things from the other side. And all this chesed this is being done. And this is something we have to understand. Lech lecha, God is telling us, it's all for your own good benefit, for the own benefit. And what is the benefit? What should we take from this test we are standing now in? A terrible test. But still, this is the time to increase our belief, our emunah, and to understand that eventually, with all the sorrow, with all the pain, it's all for the benefit of the whole of Klal Israel and for the whole world, by the way. Says God, if not my testimony, if not the Torah, day and night, I'm canceling everything. And we had this, the flood. Last week we had the flood, the Mabul. But there was one light in the darkness, Noach. And now we have a light in the darkness. We see all those unbelievable things that everybody is doing. From one side, we see the Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox, everybody was talking against them, that are coming and they want to be a part. They are already a part, by the way. Don't be mistaken. They are already a part of helping everybody. All those big things, Ezer Mitzion, Ezra Lamarpe, Zaka, they are all Haredim. But now we have something unbelievable. They want to fight. To be a part of the army, like the fighting army. And we see the left, the right. There is no left, there is no right. Of course, there are always, unfortunately, the Mashigas. Also those extremes that we really have to send them away. But we see all those who were talking, we're not going to come, we're not going to volunteer, we're not going to cut the Air Force and the army and the doctors and all those things that were happening. And from both sides, God didn't like it. And that's why this is happening. The idea is very simple. God is there, is everywhere, as we said. And when he sees this hatred, sinat chinam, that's going around, that was going around, he says, this cannot be. This is the destruction of the world. Sinat chinam. So how do you fix it? With avat chinam. So suddenly you see everybody's doing the left, the right, the Haredim, the religious, the non-religious. We all together. And our prayer should be that this Lech lecha that we're going, Lech lecha says, Avraham Avinu says, the Zohar Kadosh is the neshama, the soul. And it comes down to this world and it has to go to those 10 tests. And this is what we're going through. We are now in those tests. That this is the reason we came to this world. And as long as we know what is our mission and what is our target, what is our goal, the Kadosh Baruch Hu will show us His mercy and save us from all our enemies. Because the whole thing is to straighten us up, to take the right direction. And Bezrat Hashem should be this the last test, as it was with Avraham Avinu. Akedat Yitzchak was the last test. This should be our last test, Bezrat Hashem. But we have to go through this test. And don't forget, it's like I told about this guy, a rabbi, he went to hospital for a very serious operation. I don't know if I told you about it. And when he got out of the hospital, he asked the sister that where he was released, you have this band you have on your hand. He asked her if when she took it down, can I save it? She didn't understand why. He says, I've got my reasons. What did he do? He took this band with his name on, put it in the talus bag, attached it to the talus bag, so every morning when he takes his talus out, he sees this to remind him the good that God did with him and saved him in this operation. So we have to take this band of the unity we see now, of the chesed that we see now, and put it in our memory, each one of us, to attach it to something that he sees every day. Put it in the fridge, a remembrance. Put it on the talus, on the tefillin, in the entrance of the house. So every time we come in, we see this to remember that we have to be together. Our power is together. You know, the only way to win the war is not with the tanks and modern missiles, it's with God. And this is the story of Avraham Avinu going on a war in our parasha. And it says he took 1 minute. וישמע אברהם כי נשבע אחיו. He heard that they captured his Lot, his brother, not the brother, the son of the brother. And he took וירק חניכיו על ידי ביתו 18 ו300. He took 318 people to chase who? 5 kings that had maybe hundreds of thousands of soldiers. This is not reasonable. How can he do this? And nevertheless, there is an explanation that says that it wasn't really 318, but 318 is the gematria of the name of Eliezer. In other words, it was not only he and Eliezer. And they say, the Gaon of Vilna once they had, when the Tnuat HaAskala started, when all the progressive reform movement started, they did a show to the reform community, and then they show how Am Yisrael are going to a war. And as you know, when you go to a war in Am Yisrael, so the prophet, the Kohen, asks everybody if he's just married, he should go home. If he just built a home and didn't have the time to do Chanukat HaBayit, should go home. And if somebody's afraid, should go home. And the whole list. So what did? They filled the whole stage with people. And slowly but surely, every time that the Kohen is saying something, it was Moshe and Aaron, like they're saying it, and every time somebody else left, and eventually there were only 2 old people there, which they showed like this was Moshe and Aaron. They were everybody laughing. It says people came to the Gaon of Vilna, the Vilna Gaon, and told him about this story. Look at what they do. He says, no, it's okay. They forget one thing, that those 2 old people went to war and won the war. Because we are winning the war not with our physical strength, but with our spiritual strength. Of course, we need the soldiers and we need everything. But to understand and realize that we win the war only with God, only with the Torah. So it's more important now. Each one of us, those who don't fight the war physically, should fight the war spiritually. And this may be even more important to show God that each one of us is increasing the Torah learning, increasing his lecha, his chesed. And with this, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will win the war from the physical side and the spiritual side. And don't forget, the main thing is love together. All the best and have a nice day.